Let's talk socializing puppies. Socializing puppies is a weirdly controversial topic, and it is a topic that I have changed my mind on a few times over the years, having my own puppies and seeing the advice online and how that information and sometimes misinformation can be very detrimental to people and how they socialize their puppies and get them used to the world. So I'm more specifically talking about Whippets today and sighthounds and how they cope with different things. When we're socializing puppies, our goal is to get them used to the world around them and have positive, good quality experiences. And this is the most important part. We want to give them good quality experiences that they can handle, that doesn't allow them to feel too much overwhelm. We don't want an overwhelm of emotion. So we don't want them to be panicked to the point they can't recover. We don't want them to be so excited they're just biting and not making good choices. Socialization is about those experiences are going to make a lasting impact. Socialization is about ensuring they have that exposure to the world. And there are two opposite things that people do that may unintentionally cause behavior problems later. Because if we don't properly socialize puppies, or we don't put a huge amount of effort into the right kind of socialization, they can develop problems later, such as barking and reactivity related behaviors. So two things that I often see done wrong are almost opposite ends of the spectrum, as things tend to be. One is I see people go out and what is sometimes called over-socializing, but I don't think you can over-socialize a puppy. I would call it overwhelming socialization, where, all well-meaning, puppy owner goes out, takes them to lots of off-lead socialization events designed for puppies. And in these events, there are often usually maybe 8 to, honestly, I've seen 20 or so dogs running around in a field with the owners being advised to leave their puppy to do whatever is happening, because dogs can speak their own language and we don't need to intervene. This is very problematic because yes, puppies can speak their own language, but puppies also are in a very sensitive period usually when we have started socializing them, and that is that they may become more anxious if they have a bad experience. So if we're putting our puppy into a field of 20 unchecked sort of dogs, or even less, but they're all puppies, they kind of just learn that they are gonna rough and tumble with dogs. So some are gonna learn to be, my God, dogs are a source of adrenaline and overexcitement, this is the best thing ever. While some puppy is going to be hiding under a table or under their owner's legs. And they're going to be learning other dogs are scary and maybe I need to start barking and snapping to keep them away. These experiences are not going to be helpful in socializing a puppy because they're overwhelming and there's too much going on at once. This is a lot for a puppy to process, and this often results in behavior problems later down the line. Dogs don't tend to socialize in big groups or packs or anything like that. This isn't normal for dogs to experience. And those negative or overwhelming early experiences can have quite a big impact on your dog the rest of their life. So one end of the spectrum, we're doing too much. We're throwing them in with 20 or so dogs, seeing what happens, meeting every dog we meet on the street. Then the other weird popular thing that's quite popular is that we do the complete opposite. We want to create a neutral dog. And a neutral dog is a dog who doesn't engage with anything in the world around them. They just pay attention to their owner, they ignore other dogs, they have no interest in other dogs, they just want to be with their owner. And these dogs are almost withheld from socializing in that they're not allowed to meet new people, they're not allowed to meet new dogs. If they are, they have to do it calmly, they have to do it with a lot of structure, and they're not really allowed to do a huge amount other than be neutral. And neutral isn't an emotion, and it's not something that is normal for many breeds of dogs. Some breeds of dogs will naturally be less inclined to want to engage with other dogs and people because they are very handler-centric, and those kind of dogs do tend to be a little more aloof. But we don't want to take our dogs away from society just so that they learn you're the best thing ever. Depriving them of social contact and interaction isn't going to create a stable dog. Because then what happens is this dog who doesn't have lots of positive experiences with other dogs, only neutral ones, if another dog runs over to them and they don't like it, or they're scared, or they're frustrated, or they just don't want that dog in their space, their formative associations will be, I didn't like that dog in my space. And if those associations continue without the backdrop of good experiences, those dogs develop behavior problems. Now, I've done things very differently with two different dogs. And I can tell you with Arkle, I tried to do the whole neutral dog thing. I very much felt like with my first puppy, I'd given him too much socialization. I realise now that's nonsense. He actually didn't do the whole 20 dogs or so. He was very well socialized, but because he was a normal, excited teenager, I was told it's because I over socialized him. So with Arkle, he didn't have a lot of exposure to playing with other dogs, meeting different people, you know, that kind of thing. And it's definitely had an impact on him as he's got older and had negative experiences. He perceives those negative experiences to be the biggest experiences he's had. So he is, as a result of that and other issues, reactive to dogs. Whereas my previous puppy, I didn't let him do a free-for-all with all of the dogs, but he did meet dogs. He did meet dogs he wanted to play with. He met them on lead, he met them off lead, he met people. He absolutely loved people, yet he jumped on people. And I would always take the overexcited teenager who just needs some fine-tuning over the nervous dog any day of the week. So how I socialise Arthur is more how I would socialise a future dog, and how I recommend to clients to socialise their dogs. And that is, we ensure that they are having experiences with dogs that are good to be around, so not overly playful dogs who want to teach them to go nuts on the lead, but meeting dogs, meeting people. The really important part that no one talks about is, how is the dog feeling, and is the dog coping with this situation? And that's what makes good socialization. So if I'm taking imaginary future puppy and I'm taking him out to meet dogs, if he's trying to avoid the other dogs and he doesn't want to be near them, he needs more space around dogs. That's absolutely fine. For him, we might take a bit more time and a bit more distance to other dogs. If he quite likes dogs, that's fine. We're going to let him play with dogs. I'm going to make sure I reward him for checking in with me. We're going to have breaks. It's not going to be a complete free-for-all, but he should be allowed to meet and play with other dogs. That is a normal part of having a puppy. And we, you know, meeting people as well. Meeting people is good for your dog. We don't want them to be like reactive to touch later. We don't want them to be unhappy about it. But look at how your puppy is feeling. Are they edging away? Are they rolling on their backs? There are a lot of behavioural signs that will tell us whether our puppy is comfortable or not. A puppy rolling on their back is not comfortable. A puppy showing their belly and just staying rigid is not comfortable, and they are not happy, and they need some distance. They're just showing it in a very puppy way of, I don't want any trouble. So we need to be mindful of that, which I'll talk about more in another video. But we need to be aware of how they're feeling. How are they enjoying the experience? If they're not, more distance. If they're okay, keep it light. Don't obsess over meeting hundreds of people. Put your dog in situations they can handle. Get a bigger distance or quieter places temporarily if your puppy can't handle it. But socialization is ultimately important, and your puppy should be socializing. They just shouldn't be going nuts with every single person and dog possible for hours on end. And neither should they be isolated just to make them focus more on you. They should be having good experiences, meeting new people, meeting new dogs. Maybe not every walk. Maybe we take them to a cafe now and then, and we start at a quiet place and build them up to busier places. The goal is that they're enjoying those experiences, they're having a good time, and they're not being stressed by them. But please don't deprive them or go nuts. It's always somewhere in the middle, as is the case with a lot of different things.